is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Sun sets over the Daytona International Speedway. Round 11 of the iRacing Le Mans Series will be coming your way from Racebot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. Do not go anywhere. Every January, sports car fans pilgrimage to Florida, to Daytona for the Rolex 24. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you will get a taste of what it would be like if the World Endurance Championship headed its way under the lights of the Daytona International Speedway. Round 11 of the iRacing Le Mans Series will be an exciting and interesting race. Jack Stiles alongside Neil Heatley bringing you all of the action on the iRacing Esports Network with Hugo Luis behind the cameras. And Neil, LMP1 cars aren't suited to the rover format we see here today, so traffic management is going to be very, very critical. Give us some pointers as to where the best places are on the circuit to deal with this traffic.
The best places to deal with the traffic, obviously, if you are in the high-power prototype cars, are going to be on those two main stretches of banking that we have here at Daytona, almost using the entirety of the 2.5 mile oval. You've got to be careful in the infield. It can be done between the two hairpins in the middle of the infield, but apart from that, if you're an LMP1 car especially, and you catch this GT traffic in the bus stop on the backstretch, it's not going to be a good time for you.
Qualifying is currently underway. Looks as though at the moment the Pure Racing team driver of Fabrice Cornelis is going to be on pole, currently on his second qualifying lap. We do today have an onboard footage from that very car, the number one car in this race, telling us that he has the highest I rating of anyone in the field. More news coming into this race is that Rebecca Pauline in the GTE class has signed for the extremely successful Race Clutch team, and that very team is currently holding out 1-2 in LMP2. So far this season, they have been hard to beat in that category.
Very, very hard to beat. And of course, LMP2, slightly different from the other two categories, because that LMP2 is this spec class. You know, there isn't really much, well, there is no difference between the cars, because you only have one to choose from. So it really brings out the caliber of the driver, that LMP2 class, and it just goes to show what an amazing drive it takes to be able to dominate the season.
Indeed, so Fabrice Cornelis has done a very similar thing in the LMP1 field. He's still out on his second lap. He does, although, have the pole position over Will Tregurtha by half a second. Will Tregurtha, and if anyone's thinking, I recognise that name from somewhere, I'm pretty sure you do. He is the 2017 British GT4 champion. So he's clearly a good hand behind the wheel now.
Yeah, clearly very good behind the wheel, and of course this is what you get if you join iRacing, if you manage to get up through the ranks and get to, well, this is Class B, I believe, the Le Mans series here. If you manage to get up here, and you've seen it on the oval side as well, you can race against real world drivers and see if you really can beat them. Of course, it's iRacing, it is exactly real life, but you know, if you manage to beat one, it gives you a little glow in your heart.
It does. You can see the top 3 on your screen at the moment. Currently looking at one of the GTE cars finishing off their, or one of their many 2 qualifying laps that they get here. This is Barry Morrison, the Team Bushfrink Racing driver in the Porsche 991 RSR. And I can say from personal experience, have a go at standing next to one of these at full chat. I can promise you, you probably won't have much of your eardrum left over as he comes across the line to set his first qualifying time on his second attempt. It's 1 minute 42.70, putting him dead last in class. But as you can see, top 3 in LMP1, Neil. Fabrice Cornelis, Will Tregurtha, and Cy Andra. Cy Andra is the name that we haven't seen for a long time here on Friday Night Primetime. Well, as qualifying comes to a close, the drivers will make their way down onto the starting grid, ready for the shortened pace up here at Daytona. But first of all, let's take you through your starting grid. Fabrice Cornelis, the only driver underneath 1 minute 25 in your LMP1 field. He takes pole position from Will Tregurtha in second. Syandra is going to be lining up third with Victor Krajcevic fourth. Michael Dinkel fifth. Julian Ribolo in sixth. Marco Atraconoda in seventh. And Joseph Burton Harris in eighth. Chris Fuller in ninth. And Fabian Jungluth going to round out the 10-car field. There is an 11th car, of course, not setting a qualifying time. Johan Harth takes the honours for pole position in LMP2 with his race clutch teammate alongside of Javar Caroni. Maria Hrushka lining up third with Fraser Williamson in fourth. Juan Miguel Rodriguez in fifth. Julian Rambert in sixth. Carlos Alves Benedi in seventh. Loic Nard in eighth. And ninth is going to be Andy de Ruyter. Thibault Casabon going to be lining up on the pole position in your GTE field. Alongside him is going to be Lanik Lachin. Arthur LaHook and Juan Diego Salguero are going to be taking up that second row. Bradley Haley and Rebecca Pauline, the new siding for Race Clutch, going to be on road number 3. Joel Guez, Robert L. Harris is going to be 7th and 8th. Florian Denarth is then going to be 9th. And Ashley Owen is going to round out your top 10. Maxime Brent, Michaeli Ritchie, Stefan Overgaard, Barry Morrison and Bruno Fontana round out your 15-car field in just a few moments' time. We'll be going green. And Neil, first of all, very quick predictions. Who's going to take this one overall?
Overall, it's very, very difficult to say. Of course, the pole setter Fabrice Cornelis with that fantastic time, 4 tenths, just about 4.5 tenths ahead of the rest of the field. Obviously, a very, very quick car there. But will real world experience hold out? Will Tregurtha manage to get this race?
Well, in just an hour's time, we will find out. Some lovely panoramic shots looking over the grid as the iRacing pace car pulls away. Head themselves through the bus stop. The bus stop is going to be a very tricky section of this course. You can see it's a very quick left, right, right, left. You want to carry as much speed as possible, but if you catch some traffic through there, you're just going to have to be patient. Fabrice Cornelis knows this far too well. He's been a race winner so far this season, looking as though he's in a very comfortable position to do a very similar thing. The GTE field now going to be heading itself off and getting away. All the fields are actually going to be leaving a little gap between each other. So your LMP1 field will be the first to go, and LMP2, as you can just see, exiting the bus stop chicane, and the lights of the GTE field coming in. The white lights for this year as well, changing the regulations, meaning that they can go to a much safer form of light, if you ask me. With Fabrice Cornelis, he leads the field through the third turn of the International Speedway. Still going to be sat behind the pace car at a steady speed of 95 kilometers an hour. There is no hope of any drivers being able to do that at any point on this circuit, even with how tight it is. The pace car dives onto the pit lane. And we're racing here at Daytona. The green flag flies and Fabrice Cornelis is off to an absolutely stunning start. Will Tregurtha has nothing to answer from that. A little bit of three-wide action going on behind between the 21 and the 30. That is for third position. Sandra just going to hold off the Pietor in the number 30 car. LMP2 field now off to the start. Race Clutch going to hold out the 1 and 2, but they're going to be going side by side a bit further behind. Still get themselves nice and safely through. GTE's off to a start. Wow, what a gaggle this is going into turn number 1. 2 wide, 3 wide indeed. Looks as though the driver of Thibaut Casamon has been able to take away that one through turn number 1. Still side by side as they head up into the International Horseshoe. There's a couple of cars off on the right on the grass. They're going to go 2 wide, further behind. A little bit of contact there, but other than that, nice, clean and easy start for most of these drivers so far now.
Yes, I was having a look back at the LMP2 fields at the very beginning while you were keeping an eye on the LMP1 field. But yes, Marie Krushka, Fraser Williamson and Carlos Alvarez Benedy were going 3 wide across the start-finish line. But they were 3 wide before they even got to the start-finish line. They're very, very hairy coming down into turn 1, especially because you've got cold tyres, cold brakes, and you're not exactly going at full speed, so it's very difficult to spot your braking point. But fantastic job by the 3 of them there in order to stay 3 wide and not actually cause any contact.
And in the class that you're currently looking at, you can see on your screen the car at the head of this field is not first, that's second. That's the driver of Gerard Caroni. His teammate, Johan Haaf, has stormed off into the distance. So Race Clutch currently holding out the 1-2 as they finish off the first lap. Looks as though Sandra has managed to get his way past the Thrustmaster Movano driver of Will Tregurtha, but Fabrice Cornelis still holding out that 1.2 second lead.
Still holding out that 1.2 second lead, as you're saying, as they're all just about to start their second laps. The GT cars a little bit further behind. Of course, the leader of the first lap, the person that gets to get that accolade, is the number 2 car, Thibaut Casamon. The pole sitter gets to take that accolade, only leading by 1.5 tenths that time round. You can really see in terms of this GT field, at least, the sort of like gap, the slipstream effect that these GT cars have, but just by punching that big hole in the air. Yannick Lapchan, who's currently second in that class, in that number 13 car, you can see him visibly close up quite a lot in that second half of the banking, so that's going to be something to look for. If these leaders can stay this close throughout the entire race, you might actually not want to leave it too early for your pass. You might want to make it at the last possible moment so you don't get slipstreams back across the line.
The slipstream is going to be very important here. As you said at the top of the show, Neil, we're using almost all of the 2.5 mile oval, 5.7 kilometers the total distance. Looking at on your screen the battle in your LMP1 class. This is for position number 6 between the drivers of Julian, or I think that is, yes, Fabian Jungluth and Asgard Newman. Newman looking like he's trying to challenge. Able to do it. Joseph Burton Harris as well going to be caught up in this one. So the battle for 6th position in LMP1 is on. There was also a battle for position number 3 in GTE that I spotted at the very start of this lap. Rebecca Pauline getting an awesome start up 3 positions. She wants to get even more, so she's putting the piling the pressure on to the driver of Juan Diego Salguero. On your screen at the moment, you can see the gap between the two is just 2.5 tenths. If Rebecca can pull off the slipstream move into turn number 1, I think she might be trying to as they cross the line to start lap number 3. You can see the speed difference that Pauline has. The German looking to the outside. Not going to be able to get the move done, so going to have to sit and wait through turn number 1. Sensible decision there, I think. Because if you try and attack too early, Neil, with 56 minutes remaining in this event, you just might throw it all away.
56 minutes remaining in this event. This is something very new to at least myself here in the long series, is that you've got 3 class racing. I'm used to commentating to 3 class racing, but the problem is those races are 4-6+ hours. So if you're in a faster class, say the LMP1 or the LMP2, you've got time just to sit behind and wait a couple of corners behind the GT traffic, and indeed in intra-class battles, you've got time just to wait behind and calculate your move a little bit. The problem is here, you've only got 60 very short minutes, so the amount of opportunities that you have to pass the car in front is obviously far, far lower. And speaking about that lapping, having a look at Fabrice Cornelis in that number 1 car in the LMP1 class, they're doing 1 minute 25 laps, roughly, the GT class, they're doing 1 minute 40, so there's 15 seconds gap between the two of them. And with the LMP1 class doing 85-second laps here, well, it's just going to be 3 or so more laps until we see the leading LMP1s lap the backmarking GT cars.
I wouldn't even say it would be that long. Fabrice Cornelis is always one that does well in traffic, looking for the battle for third position in LMP2 on your screens. Fraser Williamson and Maria Krushka in the 27 that you're currently looking at as they head down into the second hairpin of this infield layout. Of course, this is a Roval. The only roval we're heading to is usually the only Roval that ever holds a 24-hour event. It's a slightly different design than what these drivers will be used to. Graphic on the right of your screen, powered by our official graphics partner ATVO, showing you the speed that these LMP2s will carry. And well, a lot of people will think that these LMP2s, they don't have the hybrid systems, but they can still shift the speed, getting up to 170, 175 miles an hour on the oval.
Yep, just coming down to the bus stop now is Marie Hrushka, and at the braking point she's doing 302 kilometers an hour. And in old terms, that's about, what, 180 or so?
I believe so, yeah. Of course, kilometers an hour is much easier to understand if you ask me, but I'm not going to go into my opinions on the SI unit system as we go back to looking at this third place battle. Can Fraser Williamson hold off? Side by side, further behind as well in your LMP2 category. This is between Carlos Alvarez Benedi and the driver of Juan Miguel Rodriguez. Looks as though the driver of Rodriguez is just going to duck out for Champs iRacing. Into turn number one, not going to try and put the pressure on too hard at the moment. Might try and save it for later on. Fastest lap of the race so far in your LMP1 field has been set. 1 minute 25.909. That's by the driver in fourth position, Joseph Burton Harris from Radicals Online. So he's going faster than your current leader, but only by about half a second at the moment. This traffic will start playing into this one as it stands on your screen. Actually, is the battle for fourth position between Joseph Burton Harris, Pierre Torque, Kruijswijk, and Michael Dinkel.
The battle between Dinkel and Kruijswijk. That number 30 car currently in 5th place in class. Coming down towards the back stretch now towards... Oh, sorry, this is now coming down towards the tri-oval. Getting my bits of the oval mixed up. Yep, here at the tri-oval, about 19 degrees of banking or so. Then they've got to try and brake and turn at the same time and come off the banking. It is so easy just to let your back end slide a little bit, and that's going to be you going round. So every time you come smashing off of that banking, braking hard for turn one, it's always a balancing act between your steering inputs and your braking inputs.
And you can see the side-by-side on your screen. On the left-hand side, you can see a view of what Fabrice Cornelis can see on his very own screen. Heading into... out of the infield section onto the Roval. You can see the acceleration and the gap that Fabrice is trying to go for. And he was very close to almost causing disaster there. This is where you've got to be careful in the traffic. Lights are flashing on the number one. You can see him actually going around the outside, darting to the inside, trying to find every single possibility in the traffic. Try and lose as little time as possible, but he is going to get held up through the bus stop this time.
Yeah, that bus stop is incredibly painful in these LMP1 cars, especially when you're stuck behind a GT car, because not only do you lose time through the bus stop, you also then proceed to lose time all the way around the second half of the banking, because obviously you couldn't take the bus stop chicane at your racing speed. But one of the most important things here, especially in the banking, is predictability. The GT cars have to be predictable in order to let the LMP1 and LMP2 cars past, but also these LMP1 and LMP2 cars have to be predictable so you don't take out any of the GTs.
You do indeed, and in fact on that lap alone, Fabrice Cornelis lost a lot of time because Will Tregurtha is now back to 1.1 seconds off of your race leader. This could be an interesting battle as it goes on. Strategy will also play into this. LMP1 field we expect to see in it around the halfway stage of this event, around 30 minutes. LMP2 should be around the same time as we go back to focusing on the battle for position number 2 in that very category. GTEs we expect to go a lot longer until around the sort of 45-50 minute mark. Actually, I'm expected to be around the 40-45 minute mark today, Neil, because of the high fuel usage on the banking.
Yeah, very flat-out track. Well, it's not very surprising when you're using most of the oval, isn't it? But yes, a lot of fuel usage here. That's going to play into a little bit of strategy. The question is, what did you fill your car up with to begin with? And when do you decide to take that pit stop? When does your fuel window open? Will you try and decide to go for an early pit stop, or will you try and stretch that? First stint as long as possible, so you have slightly lighter car and fresher tyres towards the end to go for the overcut or the undercut? These are many questions that are going through the minds of these drivers when they're deciding the strategies before this race.
You were then looking at the battle for position number 3 in GTE, still going on between Juan Diego Salguero and Rebecca Pauline. That was interrupted by the driver of Julian Ribolo in the Simultalk Esports Porsche 919. Side by side as they go across the line. Start lap number 7 in your GTE field between Pauline and Arthur LeHook. And it just looks as though LeHook wasn't able to get the move done in that Ferrari. There's obviously the GTE class, 3 different cars available for the drivers to choose from. The Ferrari 488 GTE, one of which we're riding on board with at the moment. Rebecca Pauline ahead is in the Porsche 991 RSR, the streaming flat 6 that it has. And then of course we have the Ford GT. It sounds like yourself after you've had a bad curry, and that's not here today. Obviously the driver's thinking that the Ford GT is not going to be beneficial on a very low downforce dependent track like this one.
Yes, the Ford GT very rumbly and girthy, and it just sounds a bit But yes, obviously deciding not to be here today as this battle gets back onto the banking now, coming out of that infield section to the first of the 2 long, flat out sectors.
And the long, flat out sectors are where you can lose it all very easily. If you get off, if you get a slight mistake off of the infield section back onto the roval, it can actually harm you as you go through the rest of the lap. Battle for position number 5 in LMP2 between Carlos Alvarez Benades and Juan Miguel Rodriguez as they head into the kink. Rodriguez looking to the outside, but Benades looking like he can just get a little bit later on the brakes. Julian Rembaud behind the number 31 machine there, Neil. He's sitting and waiting. I think he's wondering just, if these two make a mistake ahead of me, I've got a perfect opportunity to try and sneak my way up the inside and get myself a couple of positions.
Yeah, and look, Gilardo is right behind the 3 of these as well, so it's a 4-car train for this position that's currently occupied by Benade as Rodriguez gets closer and closer and closer. You can see the slipstream effect. Rodriguez, will he try and make a move into the bus stop? No, he's just staying in the slipstream there. Perhaps we'll see a move from Rodriguez coming into turn 1, but because he had to lay off a little bit there, he's not got that good a run from the bus stop. This can allow Rambo to have an attack coming into turn 1. I say this, Rambo, Girardeau is right on the rear wing of him.
Indeed so, 4-car battle into turn number 1. Benade moves to the high line, trying to defend himself off. Rodriguez cannot do anything, though, about the driver of Rembaud. Rembaud moves himself up 1 position, didn't even get it done in the braking zone, but Rodriguez to the inside, and he's going to get loose into the corner, and he's actually going to drop right to the back of this one now, although he's going to hold off Loic Gildo for now. So Rodriguez making a very fatal mistake in turn number 1. Gildo into the International Horseshoe is going to try on the inside line. That's a good run through the corner by him. Can he get the power down though? He can indeed. So Rodriguez losing 2 positions in around 3 corners, getting into the kink. He's challenging again, almost going off the circuit into the second horseshoe. Gildo runs wide, so Gildo goes out into the grass. Rodriguez gets through, and so does Andy de Ruyter.
Coming into that corner, I'm not exactly sure. Girardeau got a bit of a touch there into the hairpin, and that caused him to just unsettle the car slightly, gain a little bit of speed, then proceed to go off as the race leader of Cornelis passes Girardeau. But I think there may well have been a little bit of contact there under the braking zone.
Yes, there was. There was a slight touch between the two, just noticeable. So you just saw it on the replay, and that was what unsettled the 35 machine, and he went flying off the track into the grass. As we go back to live pictures as they all head themselves out of the bus stop. That battle still being led by the driver of Carlos Alvarez Benade. Further ahead though, side by side for position number 3. Siobhan Caroni having to defend from the driver of Maria Hruska. Fraser Williamson has dropped off the back of this one. Hruska going to try to go around the outside into turn number 1. Looks as though Caroni though is going to hold off the position for second place. He holds on to second at the moment. This is vital points in the championship for these guys as Hruska tries again to the outside into the International Horseshoe. Fraser Williamson just sat behind thinking, I'm waiting for my opportunity to get past the both of them when they both slip up.
Yes, it's very difficult. You could almost see what Maria Hruska was going for coming into turn 1, turn 2 there. Usually in a hairpin, you have the opportunity to do the up and under. If the car in front of you decides to take an inside line, you know you can just turn a little bit earlier, get on the throttle a little bit earlier, then scoot up the inside on the exit of the corner. You can see that's what... But it didn't really work, it appears, because that turn 1, turn 2 is so difficult. And also, it's not exactly a hairpin, is it? It's a kink followed by, what, 110-degree corner or so? But yes, not able to really execute that move coming into turn 1, but coming through the bus stop now. So we now have the battle for the GT lead.
GT lead. The GT lead has changed. Yannick Lapchin gets his way up to the front of this field. Thibaut Casibon had nothing to answer to the Porsche, and he just went breezing around the outside using the draft to his advantage. Juan Diego Salguero next is going to be challenging for second position. So it's a four-way battle for the lead as it stands. Yannick Lapchin, though, still having to defend from Thibaut Casibon. Casibon into the kink, not going to be close enough. Can he make a move into this 110-degree hairpin that you just mentioned? Very difficult braking zone because you're turning. You have to regulate the brake pressure to make sure you don't lose the rear end as they come out of there. Casibon still not close enough. He might have a run on the oval though.
Might have run the oval, but this is now a four-car train lead. Lapchin, Casibon, Salguero and Rebecca Pauline right on the rear end of this, and Arthur Lehoux right there in the background should anything happen to these four, ready to pick up any of the spoils. But Lapchin now has to try and hold off Casibon, but it appears that number 2 car is not going to be making a move into the bus stop, perhaps holding back as we've seen a couple of times before, and trying to make a move into turn 1, because it appears that turn 1 is the better overtaking opportunity out of the two of them.
It is indeed. It's got a very much larger braking zone than the bus stop, so there's more opportunity to stick your nose down the inside, make your presence known, and make sure that the other drivers gets his way through. So Yannick Lapchin, I don't think Thibaut Casibon this time is going to be close enough to challenge. Arthur Lehoux in 5th is just behind this battle, but still going to keep the eyes on this one as they come across the line of the tri-oval. They're going to be hitting the brakes in around a second's time. You can see the brake lights fire up. There you go. Rebecca Pauline, though, to the outside of Diego Salguero for 3rd position. She looks as though she's just going to run out of road, so Diego Salguero going to hold onto that one as it stands, but Pauline trying to the outside into the International Horseshoe. Is it going to be able to get it? Is she going to be able to get it done? Not sure if she can. No, she can't. Hasn't got the power out of the corner either there, Neil. Very easy run to get the undercut through there. But I think Rebecca Pauline just made it a little bit harder for herself on the exit of the corner there.
Yes, she locked up the tyres slightly coming into that corner. You can see a little puff of smoke come off. Nothing, and of course turn 1 is such a long corner. It's very difficult to go all the way around the outside. I mean, it's powered class, but coming onto the oval again, Lapchin and Casibon, and then Salguero and Pauline, the 4 of these drivers have kind of split into 2 distinct groups now, as Rebecca Pauline is closing and closing of Juan Diego Salguero. As we come onto the back street now, Rebecca Pauline moving to the outside, going right the outside under braking for the bus stop. A very brave move, but not something for this point in the race. Perhaps in 40 minutes time that would be an acceptable move, but right now, not really.
Riding on board with Pauline as around the outside goes Fabrice Cornelis, still leading your LMP1 field now by 4.5 seconds, 4 seconds over the driver of Will Tregurtha. Rebecca Pauline, though, tucked up into the rear of the Ferrari, moves out of the slipstream to try and slingshot her way past. Can she get it done? She's got to duck back in once again. To the outside she goes, taking the higher line across the oval. As it came across the line, Juan Diego Salguero still going to hold the position, but this time, Rebecca Pauline was not close enough. And behind that second position, that's Will Tregurtha. He's got to be careful in traffic. There's just a second and a half behind him with Syandra. And Syandra will very quickly snap up any positions that he possibly can.
Yeah, very quickly. And this is exactly what we were talking about before. It's all about traffic management, especially for these LMP1 drivers. And we saw that from Will Tregurtha just now. Fantastic traffic management, not interfering in this battle with the GTs, yet ensure he lost the minimal amount of time. But yes, it seems like these GT cars, especially from what we just saw between Salguero and Pauline coming into turn 1, appears that once they get up towards pretty much near terminal velocity, so near the bus stop, and indeed coming down into turn 1, if if they try to pull out, it almost seems like they hit a brick wall. They're not able to go any faster, so they have to come back, duck back in, then proceed to try and gain a little bit more speed that way. So it appears for these GT cars that you can only really make that move A, under braking, or B, you're still under that initial acceleration phase coming off of these corners.
Indeed, so still looking at this battle. Probably saw last time around Rebecca Pauline hitting the brick wall as she moved out of the draft of Diego Salguero. But Diego Salguero, new fastest lap as well for Fabrice Gonzalez, 1 minute 25.836. Fastest lap of your race, and the only driver to get into the 1 minute 25.8. He hasn't quite matched his quality time yet though, but for third position in GTE, Pauline looking to the outside. Doesn't look as though she's hit the brick wall this time. They're going to go side by side into turn number 1. Lovely aerial shot that we get here on RaceSpot TV of this battle. They head through towards the International Horseshoe. Once again, wasn't able to do it. I think that just shows that the balance between these two cars, the two different makes of a vehicle that these two drivers are running, Neil, and it just shows the balance between the two.
Yeah, balance of performance, very, very important, of course. It means that some cars are better in the technical sections, such field and the bus are far better on that oval. But while you're speaking about the GT battle there's been a change for second place overall. Syandra and that number 21 car has got past Will Tregurtha in the 19. They're just coming along towards the tri-oval now. No, it's the bus stop. I've been bamboozled again. Fantastic. They're just coming into the bus stop, then onto the banking for the second time, coming into Speedway turn 3. It appears that Andra has a nice little gap there over Tregurtha, and I'm not sure that Tregurtha can launch a counter-attack coming into turn 1.
Well, last time around, Will Tregurtha got held up by some GT traffic, and for Syandra, that was his invitation to just close up to the rear of the number 19 Thrustmaster Movano Porsche. And obviously past he went using that hybrid boost. The hybrid boost, very important here. You have to manage it well because of how fast this circuit is. A little bit of damage as well to the rear left legality panel of Will Tregurtha's car, so that could be affecting him slightly there, Neil. With a little bit of a loss in downforce and increased aero, meaning that he cannot get the same straight line speed that he was.
Yeah, I haven't seen any contact with that number 19 car of Tregurtha, but perhaps it was while navigating GT traffic, or indeed LMP2 traffic, just got a little ding on that rear left legality panel, as you said, and that could, and of course that will affect the aerodynamics, and of course it will affect the top speed, which is so important here at Daytona.
The top speed is where you need it. You can see the speed of these LMP1 machines just as it goes past the camera. They're hitting 310 kilometers an hour, reaching 200 miles an hour as they head across the oval. Not many places in the world you can get one of these cars up to those speeds. The acceleration of these cars is absolutely biblical, but the top speed of them is even more incredible, especially at Le Mans. They can get up to speeds of 340, 350 kilometers an hour. We're going back to Group C days. Day speeds here with the top speeds of these LMP1 machines. Not quite the 400 kilometers an hour that one was able to achieve in the 80s.
Yes, I think it can just show the acceleration of these LMP1 cars when that lap was done this year at the Nürburgring, and there's just linear acceleration for like 180 to 380 kilometers an hour down the Dottinger Hole. That was just absolutely mind-blowing. But yes, these cars are incredibly fast on the acceleration, and of course helped with that hybrid system. And of course it is very difficult to manage it here, as we have another battle yet again for the GTE between Lapchan and Souzabon.
Well, it's going to come to a close pretty quickly because Yannick Lapchan brings himself down onto pit lane. He's going for the early strategy to get himself out of traffic, and actually that's a good one because looking at my track map, most of the traffic is within about 10 turns of each other in those first two sectors because the LMP2 machines are also navigating their way through. So for Lapchan, he's down. He's getting himself refueled. 10 seconds, 11 seconds. This is a very long stop. Something is not right. And he's away again. 15.4 seconds of fuel. That's what he needs to get himself to the end. So Thibaut Casubon re-inherits the lead, although it nearly came to a disastrous end as Carlos Alvarez Benedi tries to go through the kink, and the door was shut. So for Casubon, he's got a bit of a break up at the front. He's got a bit of a gap back to second place in Juan Diego Salguero now.
No doubt Casubon will be getting on that relative timing and scrolling all the way down to see where Lapshan is, then just comparing that relative time to where it was when he came in. But the question is, will Sazabon blink immediately, or will he continue on his strategy? Of course, Lapshan pitted with about 36 minutes to go, almost exactly 36 minutes to go. But here comes Sazabon out of the bus stop. The question is, will he come in this time round?
We will wait and see. I'd expect not. I think most of these drivers are going to go as long as possible, try and run on the minimum amount of fuel, because less weight in the car obviously means you can go just that little bit faster. And here, it's going to be very important. We are going to do a RaceBot TV fan immersion, but we're going to do one with a slight twist on it. We're going to do a split screen. So on the left-hand side of your screen, you will see the view of Fabrice Cornielles, and on the right-hand side, you will see our TV pictures. So the next lap, enjoy riding on board with the driver of Fabrice Cornielles for Pure Racing Team, currently leading your LMP1 field. We will be back in a lap's time. You can see how hard Fabrice Cornielles is working to get his way through the traffic. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daytona International Speedway and to the round 11 of the iRacing Le Mans Series on RaceBot TV, broadcasted on the iRacing Esports Network. Jack Stiles alongside Neil Heatley with Hugo Luis on the cameras for you. And Neil, so far as we head up to the halfway stage, it's been a pretty exciting race.
Has been a pretty exciting race, and of course accented by this traffic management these LMP1 cars have had to do. We've seen a couple of passes LMP1 in the LMP1 class due to this traffic. Sayandra passing Will Trigatha for second place most recently. But yes, this GT battle as well. Currently Casabon in the lead of that class. But the question is, when he pits, when Juan Diego Salguero pits, and when Rebecca Podium pits, those top three, where will they come out in relation to ex-leader Yannick Lapchat?
And in the fast lap, where we've been looking at the driver for Fabrice Cornielles, Rebecca Pauline has managed to get her way up into second position. Though she's now under pressure from Juan Diego Salguero as he heads to the outside on the oval as they cross the line to start lap number 18 of their respective race. And Rebecca Pauline cannot hold on to it anymore. Will Trigatha is the first of your LMP1 field to cough. He's down onto the lane with 30 minutes and 50 seconds left in this event for the Thrustmaster Movano Racing team. No Marcus Hamilton here today, so it's just Will representing as he comes to a stop, locking up the brakes. Very easy still on this LMP1 machine. You do not want to overshoot that pit stall. Shouldn't be a very long stop, around 10-15 seconds, somewhere in that region. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Taking a little bit longer than I thought it would be, actually.
Perhaps getting that damage on the rear left legality panel, just getting that back out again. But yes, a very, very long stop, coming up to 30 now.
Yeah, this is an incredibly long stop for Will Tregertha, and I think it is a case of he's getting that damage repaired, but he's lost a lot of time. He's cycled right to the back of the field, and he's not going to get much of that back. For Will Tregertha, all hopes for Podium is all of a sudden lost.
36.6 that stop in that Porsche at 9.19. But yeah, it's a very, very long stop, perhaps getting that little bit of damage fixed. But was it worth 20 seconds? Perhaps Will Tregertha thought so. Having a look at this GT class, it appears that Salguero has managed to maintain that position over Rebecca Pauline for now, at least, as they come off of Speedway 4. Will any of the top 3 GT cars blink? And it appears the answer is no for now. You can see that one. It's just snaking across the track, trying to allow Rebecca Pauline none of that slipstream.
And Fabrice Cogneles now down onto pit lane, along with most of the LMP1 field. So Will Tregertha going just one lap less. The damage clearly not playing into his favour with the damage. There is a battle for second position in LMP2, currently being headed by the driver of Marie Kushka, with Fraser Williamson and Javad Karoni just behind. So Sandra is out and away. Joseph Burton Harris, he's going to be the next one to get going, so he's going to cycle back out in third. Piotr Krajewicz should be the next, but he's still stationary, so there are some long stops. The stops we're looking at are around 18 to 20 seconds. Cogneles so far does have the fastest at 18.9.
Tregertha is just coming into turn 1 now, so I actually think once this pit stop cycle has went through, I think he's only lost one position. I think he's now down in 4th. We'll need to check that when it happens. Yeah, he is down in 4th, so he's only lost one position, but now he's a good, I'd make that, what, about 10, 12 seconds or so behind Joseph Burton Harris in that 25.
Yeah, it's a long stop that he's had there. It's not time that he wanted to lose. Looking at the driver, this is your leader in LMP2. This is 0.5 for race clutch racing. Leading Maria Hushka by an advantage, a very cool advantage as well, of around 10 seconds.
Very, very nice advantage there by Johan Hartmann. It just goes to show what a good job he's done, because really he's been fairly anonymous in the first half of this race, and that's obviously a good thing if you're in the lead of the class, isn't it?
Yeah, it is indeed. If you can have a 10-second lead by the halfway stage, you're in a comfortable position for the rest of the race, and you can see Johan Hart over the course of a lap has the pace over Maria Schuchka, the Austrian driver, as they head through the bus stop once again. Number 1 behind him, that's Chris Fuller for Talk Freak Racing. The Brit, running in his LMP1 field, has found a couple of issues, most notably at Silverstone when he hit in contact with one of his very own teammates in Team Bush Freak, well, not Team Bush Freak Racing, Talk Freak Racing. But for Johan Hart, still comfortable up at the front of your field. This is the battle for second, though. This is the one that's more important, between Maria Kushka and Fraser Williamson, but not for long. Kushka dives to the inside, onto the pit lane, down to the very steady 87 kilometers an hour. Fraser Williamson goes for one more, so Fraser Williamson having that little bit more fuel in reserve.
And it's absolutely painful to be on that pit speed limiter when you've got your classmates and indeed GT and LMP1 cars screaming past at the best part of 170, 180, 190 miles an hour, and you're just sat there at 87 kilometers an hour. It feels absolutely terrible. But yes, Maria Hushka doing that stop in an 18-second stop, 17.9 seconds to be exact, comes back out 6th in class, or well, it could be 7th as another car comes from the outside there coming into turn 1.
Lacks Louis Dorard, so Dorard going to get himself around the inside. I think Prushka is just going to concede the position for now. Sensible decision, because Loic just ahead of him, or her, will be into the pit lane very, very soon. Would expect to see the rest of the LMP2 field down onto the lane. This time by Sandra, though. He's back down onto the pit lane. What's gone wrong here, Neil? I'm not too sure. Is this a freak stop, or is this a case of not enough fuel?
Oh no, that is a stop again. I thought it may well have just been a straight drive through, and he's missed the box. He's had to reverse just a little bit. No idea what's going on with that number 21 car of Syandra, but that's promoted Will Tregurtha back into that podium position. And
I found out what's happened to Syandra on to the oval on that lap. He just looks as though coming out of the second hairpin, gets a little bit wide, a little bit loose. That throws him over to the other side of the circuit, bounces his way across the grass. Might be able to get a replay for you in just a few moments' time. The producer will have to go back a little bit further because the incident had already happened by now. There we go, you can now see what's happened. You can see there's just a little bit of damage. Over to the other side he goes, bounces across the grass, doing a little bit of an incident like we saw at Watkins, going hard into that wall. And that's not a hit that's going to be sensible or nice to one of those Porsches.
Yes, no, that was actually quite a large hit, square onto those barriers. But I think to begin with, to cause that incident coming off of that second hairpin in the infield, I think he was trying to go around the outside of a... Oh no, he was past the GT car fine, but then I think perhaps left the GT car a little bit too much room almost, and then got that car almost beached on top of that curb, and that just threw him to the right hand side of the track, took a little bit of air, then the car became $1 million eating machine of those traffic cones. Then you can see him try and put on full lock to no avail. That right front of the car hits those tyre barriers in the entrance to the oval.
We've had an incident in your GTE category for Rebecca Pauline into turn number 1. A little bit loose she went. Around the number 18 machine, replay up on your screen, you can just see a little bit too much braking. And around she went. She had to wait a very long time before she could rejoin. She's dropped down to 6th position in class. That's going to be a long time.
Oh my god, just seeing that onboard just gives me nightmares, because all those cars are approaching at 200 kilometers an hour and are completely unsighted. And Rebecca Pauline was almost exactly on the racing line. A fantastic job by all the drivers there in order to avoid her. But yes, just seeing that vision just gives me a little bit of an anxiety.
And it looks even worse from the onboard. Oh dear. Oh no. I think we're both going to have nightmares about that one. Rebecca Pauline, though, to let you know, has rejoined safely back into the event. It was very close for her. She heads through the bus stop once again. LMP2 pit stops have began once again. Fraser Williamson down onto the lane this time, so he's going to cycle back into second and give the lead back to the driver of Johan Harth. He's also managed to gap Maria Hruska by a second in all of that, so strategy playing into it, and Hruska is now under pressure from Trevor Caroni.
Yeah, Hruska under attack from Crony, which is a little bit different from the first stint. Last time it was Williamson under attack, but now Hruska, having lost that place, is now under attack from that number 6 car coming back onto the oval now. Crony just a little bit wide there. I feel not the optimal line on that hairpin coming back out onto the oval. But of course, that is a very, very difficult corner, because A, it is so important, and B, it's very difficult to decide when you want to put that accelerator back on.
And Rebecca Pauline has actually taken herself down onto pit lane, so she's had her one service needed to get her to the end. She did almost actually put it onto the concrete wall on the left-hand side as she hit the throttle, giving the good 11s and a good show to the people sat in the grandstand opposite. She's going to cycle back out in 10th position in GTE, so she's got a lot of work to do to get herself back up to the front of your field. Battle for second position in LMP2 though. Fraser Williamson has lost half a second to Maria Hruska as they head into turn number 1. That is the Radicals Online driver of Joseph Burton Harris going around the outside of Fraser into turn number 1. Fraser was running into the back of Burton Harris because Burton Harris wasn't able to get the power down. If he'd been able to get the power down, he'd have been into the next corner before Fraser could even think about it.
Yes, the LMP1 acceleration, absolutely crazy. But as you said, almost because Burton Harris had to overtake Williamson coming into turn 1, not as quick onto the throttle as he would be normally, and that meant that Williamson was almost straight into the back of that LMP1 car. But yes, now 3-car train for second place in the LMP2 class. Williamson, Hruska, Caroni, these 3 cars, but Hruska much closer to Williamson than Caroni is to Hruska.
Ashley Owen, the next to cough in the GTE field. He's going to come down onto the pit lane in the number 12. Get himself the service and then thrust past Movano driver Ashley Owen A driver who made a name for himself in prototype racing, Neil. Switching to the GTE category, driver behind, that's Joel Guez. No, it's not. That's Joel Guez's teammate, I believe. One of the Red Face Racing teammates. So as the driver of Ashley Owen gets himself going, Bruno Fontabler is the driver behind, getting himself a service. The Frenchman going to be down and out and away. Ashley Owen as well, the Brit, down and out of the way. Bit of a change in his GTE, so it's a new beast that he's got to learn.
Yes, very, very different. The prototypes are almost like closed formula cars. They've got that sort of acceleration, they've got that sort of downforce, but they're almost like closed open-wheel cars, if that makes sense. But the GT cars, very, very different, as Hruska has to take a lot of avoiding action there because Williamson went very, very wiggly coming into turn one, and the two of them almost taking out Will Trugatha.
Yeah, almost, but Will Trugatha's going to survive that little scare. For the LMP2 field, Fraser Williamson still needs to hold off a good defence. A long way left in this event. 19 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this one. As Maria Hruska looks to the inside, Fraser Williamson going to get loose out of the second hairpin. Lovely onboard shot looking rearwards from the diffuser of the HPD 01 or ARX 01C. A chassis that, when you look back to it, dates right back to the Courage C60 of the early 2000s. So this HPD is stale more in LMP2 racing, Neil. Obviously not used anymore with the new regulations coming in 2011 and again in 2016. But Hruska looking to the outside into the bus stop. Fraser Williamson going to keep the low line on the oval. Going to be able to get on the brakes a little bit earlier as well. Maybe running a little bit more high downforce on that setup. And they're going to stay, 2, 3, 4 in the same order as it stands.
The same order as it stands, but Peroni just there was the only one that wasn't inhibited by anything actually coming through the bus stop. So Peroni might have a nice little overspeed, but instead it's Hruska moving to the right hand side of Williamson as they come into the tri-oval now. And Peroni looking, but he can't go anywhere. In fact, he's gone down in the apron. He's gone underneath the double yellow, underneath the both of them, making it 3 wide, but not able to. But Hruska is now stuck on the outside here, and Peroni using that GT car as a pick, which means he now picks up that final podium position in LMP2.
He has indeed, but for Maria Hruska is not all over just yet. GTE traffic going to get in the way. There's also the number 30 of Piotr Krashovice. He's sitting 4th in LMP1. Lights ablaze on the number 30. He wants to get past as quickly as possible, but he doesn't want to be too long. He has got challenge behind, just 4 seconds back of Julien Ribelow. That gap is no longer 4 seconds, it's around 1.5. So Piotr being very holed up in this traffic.
Yeah, very, very holed up. But as the saying goes in endurance racing, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. And this time for Krajcevic, it has taketh it away in terms of time. Ribelow managed to gain a good 2.5, 3 seconds just because that number 30 car was stuck behind this GT and LMP2 traffic. But having a look coming down to the bus stop, it's a 200-mile-an-hour traffic jam.
200-mile-an-hour traffic jam is the best kind of traffic jam if you ask a motorsport fan. Krajcevic going to use the hybrid power to get around the outside of some of these drivers. He does that nice and safely. For Trevor Caroni, though, he's got a lot of work to do to get himself past Fraser Williamson. Maria Hruska, though, she's dropped right off of the back of this one now, so it's now a 2-car battle for second position. Caroni into the first turn for the 28th time. Fraser Williamson getting very deep on the brakes. He's going to go slightly wider through turn 1. Has got GTE traffic ahead, though, so they're going to have to just sit and wait and put this battle on hold for now.
Put this battle on hold for now, as he said, but we've now got... as Peroni's gone off at the first hairpin. You think he was spooked ever so slightly by that GT traffic?
Yeah, I wonder whether he was. I'm not too sure, but Trevor Caroni, he's off. He hasn't lost out to 5th position, so he's going to stay. He's only going to drop to 4th. You can see a little bit of a wiggle, the old death wiggle kicking in as they head into the International Hairshoe, and he's lost a lot of time.
I think he was slightly actually caught out by having to take that outside line coming into the hairpin actually. I think he broke a little bit too late and then proceeded to lock up the rears towards the tail end of that braking phase. So I think that's what caused Caroni to go off there. But here we have Williamson and Hruska coming back towards the tri-oval and having a look at that fantastic aerial shot. You can see them just weaving in and out of the other traffic. I say that they're actually coming to the bus stop again. I've got to stop mixing them up. This is the third or fourth time in this race, but here we go, coming onto Speedway 3 now. But yes, that absolutely fantastic aerial shot, just showing all the movement that's happening between these three classes.
Yeah, indeed. So a lot of movement going on. The speed differential is quite apparent as well. LMP2 hitting 300 kilometers an hour on the oval. LMP1 hitting 330 in some cases. GTEs will not be able to break the 280 to 90 barrier very easily. So top speed is all very similar. It's the pace out of the corners and the speed they can take through the corners. Fraser Williamson, Maria Hruska is going around the outside. They're going to be dealing with some traffic. That is Ashley Owen of Thrustmaster Movano Racing, and that is Michele Ricci, the Italian of 41050 Barbanera Racing. He's been a race winner. He was a race winner at Watkins Glen this season, Rail. He's running currently down in 5th position in class.
Running in 5th position, but I think that's Hruska putting her nose in, perhaps where there wasn't exactly room, but she sure as hell made some. But Michele Ricci trying to catch up to Yannick Lapchan, the car in front, but of course Ashley Owen and that number 12 Ferrari right there on his rear wing. But I think it's just a little bit too far away to get any of that slipstream.
And 3 wide through the oval, one of the LMP cars getting his way around. That was, I'm not sure who that was, but you can see how close it was to the wall. These safer barriers, they protect the drivers at 200 plus miles an hour as they head through the corners. You hit one of those, it's going to be a very heavy hit, however fast you're going. So those safer barriers instead is very good. He exits the bus stop. Looks as though Maria Hruska is not close enough. Oh no, she's got past. I clearly missed that one.
Hruska has got past Williamson there, but they're side by side coming onto the tri-oval here. Now coming down into turn 1, braking hard. Williamson trying to hold onto the outside all the way out with the white lines there. Trying to hold on the outside still, and they're too wide through this S. And then Williamson gets the inside line for the first horseshoe. Very, very close. I thought he might have lost the rear end a little bit there, and I think he might well have done. Didn't get on the power. Didn't get on the power early enough, and Hruska manages to power all the way around the outside to take that second place. However, we still have just under 13 minutes to go here at Daytona. Anything can happen in these remaining 7, 8, 9 laps.
It's not over until the fat lady sings, and Fraser Williamson is making it show now. Team Bushfink Racing driver is attacking the Austrian Maria Hruska. Hruska, though, not sure she's got enough to hold off Jamal Caroni. She bring him back into this battle just a little bit. He's running around the same pace time, 2.5 seconds back as it stands from the driver of Fraser Williamson. So Caroni could have another opportunity into this one. Fraser Williamson to the inside into the bus stop. He's going to get loose, very loose through the bus stop. Nice save by the Scotsman to be able to hold his position in 3rd.
That wasn't just loose, that was contact as well, I believe, between Hruska and Williamson. Williamson diving inside, we're getting the replay here. Williamson having a look to try and make the inside move coming into the bus stop. Very, very brave, but that's not really going to work, and I think the right front of the 24 car hit the rear left of the 27 coming through there, but a fantastic save there by Williamson as they're coming into turn 1, coming out of turn 1 now, and Williamson has not lost a beat.
Williamson has not lost a beat, heading into the International Horseshoe once again. Clearly the little slip up hasn't put him off. He's still attacking. 3 lights on the side. That shows that he is in 3rd position. Of course, the iRacing Le Mans Series running the leader light system that is used in the Le Mans 24 hours, which is the 3 LEDs, of course. Most forms of motorsport now, most notably IMSA, are using the number board on the side, which shows where position for any drivers wherever they are. Although in the World Endurance Championship iRacing and the iRacing Le Mans Series, it's done with just the 3 leader lights, so it only shows you the top 3. It looks as though Williamson lost a little bit of time onto the tri-oval that time. He's got Sandra going above him. Hruska being able to use a little bit more of the draft to one of the red-faced racing Ferraris. That's Joel Guez.
Yes, it is, as we're coming towards the bus stop now, braking hard. Hruska still leading Williamson now. Hruska with, of course, those 2 lights, as you mentioned earlier. Williamson with those 3, but it appears that Williamson has gained even most of that time that he lost earlier coming onto the oval, coming out of Speedway 4 now for their 31st time this race. And we just have 10 minutes and 20 seconds to go now, so it's really starting to get to crunch time to make these moves.
And there's something that I've just spotted on my timing screen. Joel Guez, a driver who started a long way down in your GTE field, his strategy has played off very well, pitting before everyone else. He's running in 2nd position. He's got the form leading behind him of Nick Japson, and 4 seconds up the road is Thibaut Casabon, the class leader. But for Joel Guez, getting himself onto the 2nd step of the podium as it stands at the moment, that's an incredible job. Biggest movers and shakers, you can see there. He is the biggest in your GTE class, apart from Michele Ricci. Ricci currently down in position number 6. He's up 6 positions from where he started. But Joel Guez up from 7th to 2nd.
Yes, up from 7th to 2nd, that +7. And another driver with +7 is Ashley Owen, currently in 5th place in the GT class, also +7. And as you said, Michele Ricci with that, who is the biggest mover so far this race. Of course, still just under 10 minutes to go, so anything can happen. It appears that Hruska has managed to shake off Williamson there just a little bit. I think Williamson is now just out the reach of the slipstream.
I'm not too sure. He may be indeed. Still showing within a second on my timing screen, 0.6 of a second, so he should be within the slipstream of Maria Hruska. But Hruska has got that little bit more of a breathing room, and that's what she needed. Joel Caroni, though, he's managed to pull the gap back to 1.5 seconds, Neil. So he has all of a sudden played back into this one, so it could be, once again, a 3-way battle for position number 2 in LMP2.
A 3-way battle, just like what we had before these latest pit stops. But yes, I think a mixture of Hruska and Williamson battling each other, of course, with that little interesting moment at the bus stop a couple of laps ago, let's put it that way, as well as fighting each other and as well going through traffic. Caroni not only has this clean air because he's not battling, but also he can almost take the gaps that the 2 cars ahead of him forge for him through the GT traffic. So he's probably the fastest out of the 3 of them at the moment, as Rebecca Pauline is trying to attack at least Michele Ricci there, coming through the first horseshoe, now the kink on the back straight, then coming into the second one.
Michele Ricci being able to pile on the pressure. Yes, he is indeed. Looking to get himself past Ashley Owen. This is, of course, for position number 5 in GTE, and of course that top 5 is... It's always one to say it might not be a podium, but it's still a very good finish in such a challenging field, Neil. Of course, these strength of field races that we see on Friday night from Friday night prime times, they do bring out the best drivers on iRacing.
It's an incredibly high standard with all of these drivers, and I think we can see that standard with the lack of incidents that we've had so far. It's been a very, very clean race by everyone so far, but 7 minutes to go. That can still change coming into the bus stop for these guys. 31st time this race. Michele Ricci trying to take that position back from Rebecca Pauline, coming in through Speedway 3 now. Speedway 4, and Ricci getting closer and closer as I believe that's Trigurtha going past on the high side. But 19 car.
Yeah, it was Trigurtha heading to the outside. Michele Ricci, sorry to cut you off, Neil. He's actually going to back out of that one, so I think it's just a case of not going to risk the car in the final few moments. 5 laps remaining for the Italian, so not too long now left in this race.
6.5 minutes. Michele Ricci coming through this S section into the first of the horseshoes, braking hard. A little bit of a tyre puff from the 12 car of Ashley Owen there, but yes, very very, very interesting battle here coming into this second horseshoe. Going to move up to the inside, but the answer is no. Just waiting for this flat out sections that we have here at Daytona. That's where is the highest chance of making a move.
Use the draft to your advantage, and Michaeli Ritchie can go around the outside. Looking at the battle for second position, LMP2. Fraser Williamson looking. He's going to look high, look low, look high again. And he's actually might get a run this time, trying to keep as far into the side as Maria Hushka as possible to get that side draft. He's going to have to be on the brakes. 301 kilometers an hour for the Scotsman into turn number 1 before the braking zone. Has he got it done around the outside? We'll have to wait and see. Hushka gets a good exit. Fraser Williamson gets the death wiggle as they head through the kinks into the International Horseshoe. Still going to stay side by side. Williamson this time has the inside line. His tyres looking much worse for where they once were, and they're still side by side. They head towards the kink. Absolutely incredible racing between the two. Druska going to have the inside line, and Williamson just going to have to concede the position for now, but not for long. To the inside he goes. Druska going to try and get the undercut, and yes, she is. Williamson once again getting the death wiggle. His tyres must be like running on rocks. Druska back around the outside. Williamson, though, keeping the inside line. So these guys have been side by side for half a lap now as they head out onto the oval.
Onto the oval now, Hruska holds on to that plate. Hruska now in second place. You can see the best lap of the race for Fraser Williamson, a 33.485. But closing on that second place car. Moving to the right, the left again, onto the inside. Making a move into the bus stop. The answer is yes, and Hruska lets Fraser Williamson past. This just means that Hruska can have an attack back onto the tri-oval. But I think what was very interesting, what we saw last time round, is when Hruska was ahead, couldn't make it back past her by the time they got to the start-finish line. So that's certainly something to look out for.
And Hruska looking. She managed to close right up to the rear diffuser of Fraser Williamson. Took the outside. She goes into turn number 1, slightly different line for the braking zone. Not able to make a move done. But back into the equation comes Gerard Caroni for position number 2. Hruska to the outside into the International Horseshoe. Williamson getting very loose. The rear tyres not liking that one. So Hruska going to get back second place. What can Gerard Caroni do now as they head into the kink? He's just going to wait a little bit longer, see if he can get himself past. Fraser Williamson losing a lot of time. 3.5 minutes left from this 1-hour event at the Daytona International Speedway. Neil going into the final moments. I can't put my money on who's going to come away with second in LMP2.
Fabrice Cornelis is just coming through the bus stop now, so it'll make it 2 laps to go next time. Well, could well be 2 laps to go next time they come across the start-finish line. I'm not quite sure. It could well be 3. But no, I believe it will be 2. But yes, this incredible battle between the 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the LMP2 class. Maria Hushka regaining that second place as they come through the bus stop. Fraser Williamson will now have to try and make that move into turn 1.
He will indeed as they head through the tri-oval. Final part, just 2 more laps remaining for these guys as well. Fabrice Cornelis will not make it around to be able to lap them. He's now coming through the International Horseshoe for the King, so he's got to get about another half a lap back as they head across the line. This LMP2 battle to start.
Fraser Williamson came in.
Fraser Williamson's on pit lane.
He's wiggling the car. I think he's out of fuel. I think he ran low on fuel.
Very easy to do. The Scotsman just not having enough fuel to get to the end, and he's thrown away his chance at a podium. This actually now plays into the hands of Maria Hruska really well, because Caroni, although he's the draft, he might not be close enough.
May not be close enough, you say that, but who knows as we have Cornelis coming through the bus stop now, a nice 16-second lead for that number 1 car over the number 25 of Joseph Burton Harris. But yes, a very, very good drive here from Cornelis, leading from the green flag, and looks like he's going to take it all the way to the checkered. He's just crossing the line with 1:25 to go. Sorry, make that 1:27 to go actually. Laps. Or perhaps he'll just decide to take he might just decide to take it lightly on this lap and just to ease off the throttle on the oval so he doesn't have to do another one.
No, I think this will be the final lap of the race because the white flag hasn't yet flown to my knowledge. So Fabrice Cornelis still has got one. Everyone else has still got 2 more laps to complete. Maybe one more after this one. Looking back towards your battle for second position. Kuroni to the outside into turn number 1. Shrushka going to hold the inside line, but Kuroni still challenging much later on the brakes, much deeper on the brakes. Shrushka getting a much better run. Both drivers looking like they've had the best out of their tyres so far in this event. Alvarez Benedi in 5th is in 4th now. It's not going to be close enough to challenge Chris Fuller, who is having a few technical difficulties. He has dropped out of the event in the closing stages. Staying with this battle for position number 2 in LMP2 though. To head through the kink for the second to last time. Fabrice Cornelis exits the bus stop. We'll keep an eye on him. See if this will indeed be the final lap or not. I'm putting my money on saying that we've got one more to go. Should we go side by side? We do indeed. So one more lap after this one. A very worn out looking Fabrice on the left-hand side of your screen. So as he comes across the line, white flag will fly. We have one more lap to complete here at the Daytona International Speedway. That's keeping Fabrice Cornelis away from another win and one step closer to the championship. Gerard Caroni looking to the inside of Shrushka. He's got an LMP1 there though. That is the Thrustmaster Mavana car of Will Tregurtha in 3rd position.
It was that car of Tregurtha, and that's really broken up these two a little bit. A lot of breathing room now for Shrushka as she comes through Speedway turn 4. Now Caroni now has a lot of time to actually try and make up, doesn't he? With only 1 lap to go as well.
I'm not sure he can do it, but Will Tregurtha going to be making another visit to the pit lane. So his early stop was not enough to get him to the end. This is going to hand the driver of Piotr Karasvite the 3rd position in the final step of the podium for Fabrice Cornelis. He's going to round around onto the oval. He's heading down the back straight towards the bus stop. What a storming drive he's had so far today as he heads through the bus stop for the final time. And from here on in, now a quick jaunt to the finish. He is going to come home with a very comfortable advantage. 20.5 seconds as it stands. Caroni has got his way past Maria Hrushka. So Hrushka is having problems in the final lap. Caroni gets himself up onto the 2nd step of the podium in the closing stages.
3 wide for the GT finish.
We do indeed. But Fabrice Cornelis is going to be across the line. 3 wide for GTE. That one's going to go. Yes, Joel Guez, the Frenchman, from 7th on the grid, is going to win GTE. Very close finish at the end. We'll have a replay of that one. Fabrice Cornelis, your overall winner. Johan Harth is going to be taking home the honours in the LMP2 category, but can Maria Hrushka ground it out in the closing stages as the fireworks go off? Just a few more cars to bring themselves over the line. I think Caroni might have this one in hand, not sure. So he exits out the bus stop. Hrushka, though, looking to the outside, so they're still going to go side by side. It's going to be very close. One of the LMP1s heading himself around the outside to make it 3 wide for just a fraction of a second. Hrushka, can she get it on the drag race? I think she can. 2nd position in LMP2 goes to Maria Hrushka. Caroni for a final last dive. And, well, he wasn't able to do it. And let's take you down to your final finishing positions. Fabrice Cornelis with the absolutely storming drive to win it by 21.7 seconds from the Radicals Online driver of Joseph Burton Harris. Piotr Karasvite's going to bring himself home in 3rd. Julian Rivolo in 4th. And Archerd Newman in 5th. Will Tregurtha in 6th. Marco Adjacando in 7th. Fabian Jungluth in 8th. And Syandra going to round out the 9 driver LMP1 grid. And Chris Fuller and Michael Dinkel both hit issues during that event. Johan Harth is going to take the honours in LMP2. Maria Hrushka just about holding off the driver of Gerard Caroni for 2nd. And Carlos Alvarez Benedi going to come home 4th. Julian Rembrandt in 5th. Andy Reuter in 6th. Loic Gildu in 7th. Fraser Williamson finally bringing himself home in 8th. Joel Guez on that final moment going to get himself the win in GTE. We will go back and have a look at that one in just a moment's time. By 0.02 of a second from Lanik Glapchin and 0.08 of a second from Thibaut Kazu-Bonds. Very close finish at the end there. Juan Diego Salguero going to bring himself home in fourth. And Michele Ricci going to round out the top 5 in that one. Florian Denard, Rebecca Pauline, Arthur LeHook, Ashley Owen, Bruno Fontable, Stefan Overgaard, Bradley Haley, Maxine Brent, Murray Morrison, and Robert Harris. You're going to round out your 15-car field. And Neil, would you like to take us through this replay of the GTE finish?
This replay of the GTE finish, my goodness, I know it. You can see them coming out of the bus stop now. And I'm not exactly sure which one Joe Guez is from this vantage point. You can see them line astern, nose to tail to nose to tail, and you can see, I believe that is who eventually finishes. Is the 13 car on the outside there. Number 2 car just looking to the inside, but not enough room. And you can see there Guez just taking the finish there, and it's almost like a pack race that we've seen the stock cars at Daytona for the win.
Indeed so. Very close at the end there, but Joel Guez being able to take home his first win of the season after running mid-pack foremost. So we're going to step aside for a couple of moments. We'll be back with the post-race coverage here from the Daytona International Speedway and round 11 of the iRacing Le Mans Series. Do not go anywhere. In a time of 1 hour, 1 minute, 28.609 seconds, Fabrice Cornelis takes the win. Another win to add to his roster at the Daytona International Speedway. We have just the one driver to talk to here in the post-race show, and that is the driver who finished right at the rear of your LMP2 field. That is Fraser Williamson, and it would be rude of me not to let the Scotsman interview the Scotsman. So, Neil, he's all yours.
Indeed, Fraser Williamson, you're doing so well throughout throughout that LMP2 race. You're up there fighting for those podium positions. Tell us about your race and tell us about what happened at the end.
Well, the race was good. Started 4th, messed up qualifying a little, so I was just looking to see if we could stay as a pack, stick with Johan, who I knew was going to be the fastest in the field. Jawad didn't kind of had the pace to stay up with Johan for whatever reason, I don't know. We fell back, we couldn't stick together, so we battled it out ourselves, and I got black flagged. Into the bus stop, we were too wide, me and Marie. I cut it slightly. I didn't give up enough time, so I had to go back down pit road. And in doing so, I sped again, and yeah, a minute stop go.
Oh, especially in such a short race like this, a 60-minute race, that minute stop go certainly going to ruin your chances. But with this being week 11 of the season, how has your season gone now that we're just coming towards the tail end of it?
I'm not here for seasons or championship points or any of that. I think I'm leading my division, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm just here to learn for the big leagues that are coming up, starting end of September.
So just as we wrap this up, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
The guys back at TBR for helping out, Pixel Dust for the paints as always, and Craig Setup Shop for the setups.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Fraser, for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
There is Fraser Williamson having a bit of bad luck towards the end of the event. We have found out what happened to cause the 3 wide in your GTE field. Replay is coming up on your screen now. This is Thibaut Casibon onto the final lap in the lead. And well, the rear end, it didn't like that corner by the looks of it. And this is where he lost his lead. You can see him, he actually loses out to Joel Guez and to Lamek Lapshin while he rejoins. So for Thibaut Casibon, he throws it away in the final minute and 40 seconds.
I know, if only the race leader had let off and made sure that final lap didn't happen. That could have been avoided. It could have been a class win indeed there for the number 2 car. But alas, it was not, as we have now the race leader, the number 1 car, Fabrice Cornelis, joining us. So Jack, why don't you take that one away?
I will very happily. Fabrice, first of all, congratulations on your another win in the iRacing Le Mans Series. Lapping traffic here, and the traffic management at Daytona is difficult. Oh no, he's disappeared. So it looks as though Fabrice...
There we go.
Yeah, Fabrice Cornelis is having a few issues. Luckily, he didn't have that during the race, so I think that is just about all we have time for. Do not forget that we have... Oh no, he's back.
Back now.
Fabrice has already managed to recover himself. So, Fabrice, let's try again. First of all, very big congratulations on another win in the iRacing Le Mans Series. The traffic management here at Daytona in these LMP1 cars must be as difficult as some of the other circuits, even if not even more difficult because of places like the bus stop and how tight the infield section is.
Yeah, it was pretty adventurous. I had some moments in traffic where I was thinking like, now I'm going to be dead in a few seconds, but it was all okay at the end. I had a bit of luck because I think I had 2 people spinning in front of me at one time, and then again a few laps later, 2 people spinning in front of me. So yeah, I was not very bored while lapping traffic today.
And well, Sebring next week, looking forward to the final round of the championship. You've got some vital points here today. Looking forward, do you think you'll be able to repeat it again and hopefully go away with the championship after an hour's racing this time next week?
Well, championship is already pretty decided. It's Patrick Wolf who's going to win that probably, or maybe Marcus if he shows up for the last race. I had some less good moments in the middle of the season, but yeah, I'm just looking for a good race again. Hopefully we have some more people in again, some like more of the top guys, so we can battle it out there.
And then obviously some big series starting up again at the end of September. Are there any plans for Pure Racing Team for said series, such as the Sports Car Open and the Neo Endurance Series?
Yeah, sure. It's gonna be the Sports Cars Open. Pre-quali will be this weekend. Yeah, we're looking forward to that season very much, battling against Squanda, Vivano, and all the others. So yeah, that's for sure one to look out for.
And before we you go and celebrate your win with your team, who would you like to give a shout out to today?
Let's start with Speed Driving School, with setups and all the rest. Then Spuzu, Autohas, Walmaier, iRacing, then World Pure Racing Team, and you guys for broadcasting and for bringing my POV in the stream. That was pretty awesome. Gonna be fun to watch that back.
And there's Fabrice Cornelis. He came away with the win today overall in LMP1. And that is just about all we have time for here on RaceSpot TV for round 11 of the iRacing Le Mans Series. Before we disappear this evening, let's let you know what's going on for the rest of the weekend, because we have an absolute bumper schedule coming up for you. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. GMT, it's going to be the season finale to the International GT3 Championship from the streets of Belle Isle. Join myself and Johnny Simone for that one. And then just a couple of hours later, the World Championship Grand Prix Series goes to Indianapolis, the location of many great races, and of course the greatest spectacle in all of sim racing, the iRacing Indy 500. Jack Sperry, Johnny Simone bringing you all of the action for that one. That's all we have for tomorrow. Sunday is going to be single-seater Sunday. The Majors Series has their Pocono Indy 500 at 4 p.m. GMT. Jack Sperry, Cam Walsh bringing you all of that one. And then 2 back-to-back broadcasts for myself, the Logical Classic IndyCar Series from Mid-Ohio with myself and Tom Jacobs. And then we head to Spa for round 4 of the McLaren Shadow Series. And that is not going to be one you want to miss. I have been Jack Stiles. That guy over there has been Neil Heatley. Hugo Luis has been on the cameras. And to all of us from RaceSpot TV, we give thanks to Istvan Balal for her track cameras and trackcams22.com. Andreas Werner at Andovan Designs. He's designed our absolutely stunning overlays. Simon Grossman at engineering.com is the engineering behind it. And our live timing is, as always, provided by Nick Thyssen. You can head over to racespot.tv/live. You can join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. GMT on the street to Belle Isle for the season finale of the International GT3 Championship. Until then, we wish you good night from the Daytona International Speedway, where Fabrice Cornelis adds another win to his roster.